Man, I still get excited watching that. It's almost a week old, but the Texas offense now 9th in scoring offense in the country. It has been one fun unit to watch this year. And the man calling the plays, Bryan Harsin, co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, joins us now. Oh, Bryan, there's so many numbers to look at. David Ash is 2nd in the country in passer efficiency, right behind Mr. Smith, who's coming to town. That should be a lot of fun.
2 pretty good ones.
Yeah, 2 pretty good ones. We've seen so much improvement in David in so many different areas. Do you see the improvement week to week? Is it that short?
Yeah, we do, and I think that's our whole pitch, with the offense is we got to get better every week. If we're not, we're going to get beat. We're not giving ourselves a chance. And so with David in particular, you see it on the practice field, you see it in his preparation habits, you see it from the previous game, the things that he learned, and he's getting more confident. I think that drive that we showed, in the last 2 minutes of the game to complete that pass in the 4th and 6 situation showed his maturity. He's already been in those situations and wasn't successful. Okay, now he can draw from those experiences at that time right there. What do I got to do differently? And he did it, and we were successful.
And you and Major said last year, look, whoever the quarterback is, they're young, and we're not going to put too much on their plate. Well, we've seen David can do a lot of different things now. He's continuously getting better. Has that opened up the offense?
It has. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the quarterback position, and we want to make him successful. He's the one that's pulling the trigger. He's the one making the decisions, and so everything we design is based off of what can he handle, and I think that's important. And David understands that, and our quarterbacks do as well. So they know that in order for us to do the things we want to do, they've got to prepare. And he's done those things. He's spent a lot of time in there in the film room of just making sure the pass game is correct, and he knows where to go with the football and the checks that we want to have. And then equally so, the run game. We just, it's not just hand the ball off right and left. There's things that go into that as far as where we want to go with techniques, shades, and numbers and things like that. And so he has to know that as well. So there's a lot of things that he's got to be prepared for.
Well, you brought up the 4th and 6 to DJ Grant. That's not the only time we've seen David in big 3rd down and 4th down positions and being able to come through this year. In fact, you guys are 4th in the country in 3rd down percentage. You're doing a great job. When you look at it, why has he been so successful this year in those situations?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with everybody out there, not just David. If you look at it, there hasn't been a ton of pressure that the line has given up in that situation. It always starts up front. If you can sit back and have vision as a quarterback, you should be successful. And I think the wide receivers are doing a great job of just separating and being consistent on the routes. Those are the 2 things. If I can see and my wide receivers are consistent and they can separate, then my job becomes easier. I've just got to make the right decision pre-snap and get the ball out of my hands. And I think that's what's happened. And David, to his credit, has thrown on time and has made the right decisions. That's where the quarterback comes into play. I've got to go to the right guy in this situation. And he's done that, but a credit to everybody. I think they understand the importance of those money downs as we talk about them, that continues to drive. We don't want to punt the ball. We want to continue. And we've had an opportunity also in those situations, if we get in a 4th and manageable, in certain parts of the field, we'll go for it as well. And those guys understand that, and they want to do those things.
Also helps to have a good running game, which you've had.
Absolutely.
Malcolm Brown will be out for this game with an ankle injury. He got some talented guys behind him. We know what Joe Bergeron can do. He's proven that. Jonathan Gray maybe had his best game as a Longhorn in Stillwater and really stepped up. Is he ready to carry a bigger load Saturday?
Well, he's going to have to. And you're right. I think there was one play in particular that probably nobody would think is a big play, but it is to us as coaches. We were backed up, and we hand the ball off to Jonathan. I think we're on our -8. And he's carrying the ball through the middle. It's just an inside zone play, but he's got 2 hands on the ball, and you can just see that he is very conscious of where we are in the field and the ball can't come out. And so his situational awareness was very huge in that game. And he's gotten better and better week to week. In that game, he got more reps, and you could see him getting better as the game went on. I mean, we had another 15 minutes to go in that game. He would have got stronger and stronger and ran harder and harder because he was just feeling it. But his role increased. That's what happens at that position especially. You're not going to have all those guys out there, all 3 of them, 4 guys rolling. Somebody gets dinged. It just happens because of the nature of the way we run the football. And those guys know that when somebody goes down, I got to carry the flag. And this week it's Jonathan and Joe, and those guys got to step up and go make it happen.
Well, another freshman, you get a lot of freshmen that are pretty talented. You only got one football to get the ball to them. But Tajay Johnson's been great. He made some plays in Stillwater, too, in tight boxes, making guys miss, picking up some extra yards, showed some physicality. Where is this young guy in terms of his development right now?
Right where he needs to be. He is a guy that we've got to find ways to get the ball in his hands. We're trying to create.
Do you think about that every week?
Every week. Yeah, with him, he's just he's a guy that you can put in the backfield. He's very versatile and plays wide receiver as well. But we do need to get the ball to him. He's a guy that has a determination about him. You watch him kind of bouncing off 4 or 5 different guys, and we still get 4 or 5 yards out of it. It's a negative play potentially. But a very strong runner and a very powerful runner and has speed. So we got to find ways to be creative and get the ball in his hands, because he's earned that, and he's a guy that can make things happen when the ball is out there in space.
So much talk about West Virginia's offense, and rightfully so. You just turn on the tape and you can see it. Their defense did give up 63 to Baylor, but if you look at them on the ground, they're only giving up 121 yards on the ground per game. Maybe that's because teams are throwing a lot because they have to.
Yeah.
But when you look at their defensive line on film, what stands out?
Well, they're big. They play with 3 down linemen, and you'd think that with 3 down linemen you're going to get run all over, and that's not the case. They have a backer on each side to make it a 4 down front, and their alignments up front are different. They give you problems as far as where they're going to set their tackles, or their ends on our tackles, and so there's just it's a creative scheme that you've got to adjust for with coming from a 4 down front to a 3 down front and the way they do things. But their guys play hard up front. I think their backers are good at playing off the D-line and filling on the inside run game. And so we've got a big challenge ahead of us to run the ball. And we're going to do that. That's part of our nature. We want to run the football. We want to establish that. We feel like the pass game has continually gotten better week to week, so we feel like we can be more balanced, in our offense. But it always starts with the run. It's always going to finish with the run, hopefully, for us.
You said Thursday at the Longhorn Luncheon. You did a good job, by the way.
I appreciate that.
I
enjoy that.
You got a future. Do you? It was a lot of fun, though.
Once a year.
Yeah, once a year.
Yeah.
You said a couple things that stood out. You said some great things, but one thing you said, every week, every other week, our offense is going to change. We're going to change who we are. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think I think one of the things that we do a good job of, we self-scout. We try to look at what we've done. We also try to look at who was practicing well, who's a guy that we need to get the ball in his hands. And as you watch your opponent, you see new schemes and things like that you might want to try, but you really start to think about yourself. What do we have to do now? How do we start to counter ourselves? And also, how do we get the ball in somebody else's hand? Because if Shipley had a good game the previous game, they're probably going to be keying on him. All right, so who's going to step up this week? And so to try to forecast that on offense and see how we can find guys to step up in those roles. But I think it makes it fun. I really do as a player. When they come in and it's something a little bit different, there's a new wrinkle, new formation, new approach to that week. I think it keeps those guys alive out there at practice because it keeps them on their toes. It's not the same old, same old. But at the same time, it takes a lot of preparation time to do that. And if we're going to have those chances to be multiple, then those guys have to spend more time in the film room, and they've been doing that.
Yeah, well, it shows. Coach, good luck. This should be one heck of a matchup on Saturday.
I appreciate that. Thank you.